What if the most powerful lessons in your life didn't come from the stages you played on, but from the people who believed in you before you believed in yourself? Welcome to I Have Questions with Michael Ruland. That's where we begin in part 3, my final part of my conversation with Ezra Vancil. I sure hope you have enjoyed the first 2 parts of this conversation with Ezra. It's amazing. It's eye-opening to me. So in this final chapter, though, Ezra opens up about teachers who changed the trajectory of his life, and the ones who saw him, encouraged him, and pulled him out of places where he might not have made it on his own. I sure hope you can look back on your life and have a teacher or a mentor who has shaped who you've become. Ezra also shares how those experiences shapes the way he teaches today, whether it's guitar or film production or just guiding young artists who are trying to find their way. We are going to explore what separates the students who dream from the ones who do, and why action, curiosity, and a willingness matter more than talent alone. Are you ready? I think so. Let's do it, because
I have questions.
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 I'll tell you the food that doesn't have questions, which I do.
You know, I had 2 kids that reached out and said they became a teacher because of me. And you know, they weren't BSing me, and I had no idea. And I was like, all right, I'm good. I can quit now. Right.
Yeah.
And so you just never know. And so I think the way you approach that is spot on. It's, you just don't know. So just teach.
Right. It's just do it for for your own integrity instead of the reward, because you just don't know. Can I tell you about a teacher, a teacher that changed my life?
Please do.
And I don't bring this up very often, but I have 2 teachers that had such a huge impact on my life. My parents moved, they were musicians, and we moved, it's somewhere around 30 times before preteens. So I never stayed in a school. I was in a school, like 3 different schools a year sometimes.
Wow.
And so I was a lost kid in those years.
Yeah.
And one teacher was a tennis teacher. And all she did is I was going around trying to get kids to sign my book, and nobody would sign it because they didn't know who I was. And she took it and she wrote, now they probably wouldn't do this anymore, but this is in the 80s. She wrote something real nice and said, by the way, you're quite the looker. And I took that home. And what she didn't know is I wore big old baggy clothes because I wore hand-me-downs for my brother. I felt like the ugliest kid. Mm-hmm. And I remember just looking at what she wrote, and it meant so much to me. And I would pull it down because I just felt so ugly. And then my second teacher was Mr. C, was at a really tough school. There was shootings there. It was a violent school I was at when I was a teenager. And he saw my art abilities. And one day he said, you don't belong here. He's like, there's an arts magnet, and we got to get you in this arts magnet. And so he took it upon himself. This took like a year and a half to get me into this art magnet. And he did all the paperwork, got me all set up. And if I wouldn't have got out of that school, it was like gangland, and I was getting into trouble. And it set off my whole career of music and art from just one guy seeing that I needed something different.
Isn't that awesome? That's so cool. Yeah. I'm obviously very pro teacher. So hearing stuff like that is very good. And you're right. Probably nowadays we would never say you're a looker.
Right.
That wouldn't go over well.
No, this is the 80s, man.
I was just going to say, but I mean, and we obviously, I doubt either one of us know the actual reasoning behind it, but it wouldn't surprise me that she noticed the clothes were whatever. And that was her way of kind of saying, dude, you're fine. You rock it.
Yeah. I
right?
felt
And
like
it
that's what it
different
was. Yeah.
different language usage
Yeah.
as well. So, all right. So as we start to wrap it up here, um, tell us a little more about the nuts and bolts of Morning and Midnight. Is it available yet? Where can we go get it? Um, yeah.
Yeah. So it is in limited release right now. So it's only on vinyl and CD and download from my website. And the book is also just in print. But depending when you listen to this, July in 2026, it's going to start a rollout and it'll be on all streaming platforms, the whole album. Some of the tracks are out there now, but the entire double album will be out on streaming. It'll start rolling out starting in, August. And then the
Okay.
book will come out on Audible probably before Christmas.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll be putting this out right around the 1st of August. But for anyone out there, I'm an Apple Music guy, so you can find all of Ezra's stuff on Apple Music. It all pops up. There's some really,
Yeah.
again, in my opinion, some really good work out there. So
Yeah, it's on all
we'll,
the streaming, and you can also go to my website is ezravancil.com and all the streaming sites. You can get the links there to whatever you stream on.
awesome. And I will have that when I post this, I'll have that run across the screen, your website as well. So we can do that. So, all right, Ezra, we got a couple more things going on here. All right. I always start to wrap it up with, my podcast. I really try to make it about curiosity and questioning. And so I end with 5 curious questions. These are, one word answers or a sentence or a paragraph. And theoretically, I don't jump in. I think I've yet to actually pull that off, but I keep trying. So you answer as you wish. All right. Favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Nice. A place that you personally absolutely need to visit in the next 10 years.
Paris, France, because my wife wants to go there.
Nice. That works. Yes. I'm good with that. All right. This one, not a place, a time period in our history or the future of the universe that you would like to visit for one day.
I love the 1920s,
Ooh,
because
a
I watch
flapper.
all these these movies back here. I collect old movies and I love the 20s era pre-code movies. So I would just like to hang out with the flappers for a bit.
That's awesome. That's the first time the 20s have come up for me. So, all right. Favorite book that you have ever read?
It's 100 Years of Solitude by
100.
Marquez. What is Gabriel Garcia Marquez? 100
Cool.
Years of Solitude.
Cool. All right. I also put everybody's favorite books on a list on my website so that if anybody wants some inspiration. So that's awesome. And then last one, the one food that makes you think of home.
Spaghetti.
Just straight out spaghetti.
Just straight out spaghetti.
All right.
It was my birthday.
Awesome.
I got to put it. Was my mom would let us pick our meal for birthdays when I was a kid, and I always picked spaghetti. So I think that's why.
That's exactly why I asked this question, by the way, because it'd be easy to say what's your favorite food, but that's the thing, right? But we all have that thing that makes us think of home, right? And it sometimes it can sometimes actually. I've had a couple where it's kind of weird food, right? But it's what made them feel comfortable. So that's awesome. All right. So Ezra, your turn. The show is now yours. Did I miss something? Is there anything you'd like to add, or do you have a question for me?
No. Well, you're in Washington
Yes.
State.
Yep.
How long have you been in Washington?
My wife and I moved out here in October of 1990. So whatever the heck that is, 30 some, right? 36 years almost. Yeah. We've officially been out here way longer than we were North Dakotans, I guess.
Okay. I was just wondering, it's one of the last states I haven't been to. So I've heard it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's I'll tell a little story. My wife will probably smack me on the side of the noggin here, but it's definitely it's split, by the Cascade Mountains, and there's definitely two parts of it. So when we first moved out here in 1990, obviously that happened to be a little pre cell phone, pre internet, pre blah blah blah, right? And as the stuck in North Dakota people, we just heard about how lovely it was. And when you enter the state from the east, it's very dry and very brown, and it's farmland. It's rolling hills, and it's called the Palouse. This is kind of the southwest corner, and in its own right, it is beautiful. But when your brain has been told, and you've been told, all this green trees, and it's the evergreen state, and you hit outside of Spokane and you're headed west, and we weren't in the state for an hour, and a dust storm hit and they closed the interstate.
Wow.
And we were both like, what in the blazes have we done? And so we had to find a hotel because the interstate was closed, and dust storm ended, and we drove another 3 or 4 hours and hit the Cascades and went, oh my God, this is exactly what they told us about. And so it is green and it is beautiful. And we've got mountains. And so we actually live in the foothills of the Cascades.
Wow.
And we get to look out our front window to this beautiful mountain. It's called Mount Si. And I guess the moral of the story is, over the 30 some years that we've been here, we both have learned that Eastern Washington is just as beautiful in its way, right? But I had someone asked us on the second week of October in 1990, we would not have
right.
We would have told you.
That's good to know, because in my mind it's the mountains and the beautiful trees, and so it's good to know that it's like that. Texas is like that too.
Yeah,
depends
right?
where you come in. Yeah,
every state is that, right? And it's kind of silly that we would have been that way, because even in North Dakota, you have the Badlands in the west, and in the east is the fertile Red River Valley, which is just, pure green. And so we should have known, but
that's a good story.
I think the dust storm did it to us.
Right.
But yes, you'll, you're melting in Texas, and we're probably, I'm guessing it's maybe 80 degrees with beautiful sunshine, and everything's beautiful green right now.
I got to make it up there. I've had
the
several
middle of
people.
July.
Okay. That's the time to come.
It's kind of the sweet spot, right? The middle of July is a sweet spot. It's always going to be warm. If it's rainy, it's very short. It's more like a Midwest kind of comes through and you get wet for a day or a few hours, and then it clears out and it's all fresh again. So, yeah.
Wonderful. I'll make it out there.
Cool. All right, Ezra, I appreciate you so much, my friend. I'm so glad that we were able to connect. And hopefully, my listeners and viewers, get on your website and follow you and your music, and your story is amazing. And congratulations to you, and more success to you and your daughter. and your band.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you. All right. So stay out of trouble, my friend.
I will.
All right.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of part 3, the final part of this 3-part conversation with Ezra Vancil. Across these episodes, Ezra walked us through fear, rebuilding, creativity, family, teaching, and the long road back to being himself. We talked about action over paralysis, the emotional landscape behind Morning and Midnight, and the beauty of performing with his daughter, and the teachers who changed his life in many ways. And they probably never knew. It's a reminder that creativity isn't just something we make, it's something we live. And sometimes the most important thing we can do is simply take that next step, even when we're scared. So next week, we'll be back with a fresh conversation full of curiosity and questions, and hopefully the stories that make us who we are. If you enjoyed this series, please like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. It helps us find more people who find the podcast, and it keeps our community of curious humans growing. As always, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week right here where curiosity leads and questions follow. Oh, hey, P.S. So before we close today, I want to take you to the edge of Texas, where the land meets the Gulf of Mexico and the water never stops moving. The Texas coast. From Galveston to Corpus Christi, the shoreline shifts constantly. The tides reshape the beaches. Storms redraw boundaries. Birds migrate in patterns that are older than the state and the country itself. And every year, travelers walk these beaches searching for shells and stories or just a moment of quiet, not realizing they're standing in a place defined entirely by change. And woven into that coastline is a piece of history that has shaped the nation. In 1900, Galveston faced the deadliest natural disaster in U.S. history, a hurricane that reshaped the island and its future. In the aftermath, engineers built the Galveston seawall, a massive, unprecedented project that lifted parts of the city and protected it from future storms. It was one of the earliest examples of large-scale coastal engineering in America. The Gulf didn't just change the land, it changed how people thought about resilience, adaptation, and the power of rebuilding. The coastline really taught a hard lesson. Movement isn't something to fear. It is something, though, to understand. And here's the part that kind of sparks my curiosity. If the coast can reinvent itself every day, a landmass that we don't think changes, why do we assume that we can't? Maybe the Gulf teaches us that change is just another tide, something that comes and reshapes us and leaves us a little different than before. So, as you step away, ask yourself, what part of my life is shifting right now? And what might happen if we let that tide teach us instead of resisting it? Peace, love, R.